Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hangin with Web show right here on HWWS Web TV. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit subscribe. Smash the bell, ding the bell.
You said that last time, smash it. Like
smash it,
these
bang
kids
it.
these
I
days
really
with
don't
the
know what
lingo.
they're doing. But whatever you're doing,
Click it.
do it. Click it. Click on the bell. Get notified. Every single weekday, we've got a new artist, author, filmmaker, musician, artist and creator of some kind right here. If you're watching us on the new HWWS Web TV app, thank you. And keep coming back because we got lots and lots of stuff going on. Lots of stuff happening here on the channel. We're hanging out right now with our good friend, comic creator Josh Whitener, the creator of the Trickster comics. So, man, hey, first of all, thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you.
How is it going?
It went
Trickster,
well.
yeah.
The last time we spoke, it was in development. It was coming out, so it came out in October, and it's sold out. What's December? We sold out of 100 issues between me and my artists. We split it up 50-50.
Awesome,
so, yeah, it was good. I mean, and the feedback has been really good. A lot of my close friends that are, I based characters off of, loved it. I mean, and I was really worried because, I mean, they know I've been working on this for a long time.
When you use your friends in your fiction, you
gotta
go
be
one of two ways.
You got to be true to them,
They're
though.
either going to really love it because
they
really
hate it.
feel like you did something with that person or that name or that character, or they're going to really hate it.
I feel like I've had, a decade of practice on this since these are coming out, like, with all of it, the 10 years in the making kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've had the practice to do it right, and they agreed. I mean, they really liked it.
That's awesome, though. That's
great.
great.
Yeah, and there's two central characters in the story. Lady B, who's based off of Brittany Smith, and then Cy Langston, who's based off of Jason Mueller. And both that 20-year friendship, it just kind of came a little closer through this issue coming out. Yeah, we kind of. It was like another. It was like we've always kept in touch, but now it's like a reconnect because of this big
awesome,
thing. So.
What are the reader? What's the feedback from the readers?
Readers are saying, I get the good and also the bad, and I like that I've gotten honest feedback from people. But a lot of people are saying it feels like a movie when you read it, which is good because I try to take a directorial approach to how we scripted this, and for the first time,
I think today's audience, whether it's comics or literature or even the news,
right?
Okay. I really think today's audience want to be told a story that way.
Yeah, they want a narrative.
They want a narrative. They want something that they can visualize in their mind. If they're not seeing it on a screen, because everybody's watching things on their phones and their screens, TVs and computers, and that's the way we're used to getting our information, our stories.
Right, and I mean, we have authors back here that are, putting out their own books, which is, that's just great. I love it,
Yeah, and I mean, when those stories are coming across so visually, you have to tell a story in a visual way.
Right. So I was very visual with how I told the story, and I had to introduce characters in a setting, all in like 25 pages. So it was kind of a crunch. But those that have read it, they enjoyed it. And I'll tell you about the bad. I've gotten from my father who couldn't read the whole thing because this is not what comics were to him. He's looking at Archie and looking at all this.
Yeah.
So I had to look at that, which audiences are looking at this comic, and was it only targeted for one audience and whatever. So we're going on with issue 2.
Okay.
It started 2020 to be determined, but I'm really letting my artist Brian Wilson go crazy with this second issue. His art, the cover, and his art were what drew people in first to getting it.
It's amazing.
Oh, it's great.
It really is.
And I kind of
art.
planned that. I say, if the story is garbage, at least they'll like the cover and the art that goes along with it. So, that's a marketing strategy there, my friend.
But it's something that's very true. And, as a storyteller, especially in a comic, story, because it is it's two-dimensional. There's the art dimension of it. There's the visual storytelling, and then there's the story. There's the words and the captions and the overall arc of your story. And you have to take both into consideration because there are audiences who are looking at your book for one or the other or both.
Right, and that's why it's a collaboration with the two gentlemen that I did, and I think it was perfect. I think I'm definitely going to have Tim on the cover for this second issue and Brian on the interiors, and then we'll see what happens after that. But
so what did your dad say?
Oh, my dad. Sorry, yeah, let's get that.
My dad
and my writing. We could do a whole podcast on that. But writers and their fathers. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
First
of all, you say I'm going to be a writer. And that's the first.
You automatically have to have father issues.
That's right.
You know,
right there, because that day, if you didn't have any, you will.
my dad's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
He loves my art. I mean, he loves my art. I'll say that, like,
Yes.
because it comes in many forms. You know, the acting and all that other stuff. So, but sometimes he you know, if it's not in a medium that he's used to, you know, it's kind of going to fall off. But
I think maybe that's what drove us both into journalism, is because I said I'm going to be a writer.
well, that's what's driving me to issue 2, is he's going to read this one.
He's going to read this one? Yeah, I got you now. Yeah, because you know what happens is you tell your dad you're going to be a writer, and he's like, and how are you going to eat? And you're like, newspaper writer. And he's like, oh, there's
a backbone there,
there's
like
a backbone.
a financial
That's
one.
right. And then afterwards you're like, and by the way, I'm going to do these things
And
too.
by the way, I make comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But it's good because, you know, like really what this was for my core friends, you know, and it's literally been 20 years and we've still connected and still, you know, and I think that they just love the idea of me creating the stories that I've had in my mind for 10 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
though.
so it was really good. And, you know, people that I haven't talked to in a long time, actually, I said, hey, listen, the comic's done, because they were aware of it. They're aware of the stories, and they're like, I need one. So I'd send it to them, and I'd get this, you know, just kind of like, well done, you know, like you did a thing, and that's kind of like how I look at it.
So many people will look at you, especially when they know you're working on a project, and they'll say, I was going to do that once.
Right.
I was going to make a comic. I was going to write a book.
Right.
I was going to, but they haven't.
Yeah.
And when you actually hold that in your hand and hand it to somebody,
That was what it was all about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
So, issue 2.
Issue 2.
You're 2020. You're aiming for.
We're going to wrap up this 2-part storyline because
Okay.
I purposely left it on a cliffhanger, and you know I know people are wanting to read the next issue, so we're going to work on it. We're not going to rush it, but we're going to work on it, and I think that now, actually, Brian, you know, Tim's already got ideas for the cover, which is great. Brian has already shown me a sample of what he wants to do, and I've told him ideas of where I want it to go in the second issue, and there's going to be a ton of opportunity for him to just get crazy with the interior art, splash pages, all this stuff. So we're going to finish the story of you know, why Jack gets involved in this murder mystery, and then literally we're just beginning. You know,
so
this
now
is
that
the beginning
feedback
of
from
all
Dad,
this.
it comes from Dad, and he says, "Hey, this is not kind of what I'm used to in comics."
I
What did you do with that? Did you play with that a little bit?
I
Or
did,
you
because
work
I knew that
in?
the first issue was wordy. It was
Okay.
it's got a lot of dialogue in it, and it's got a lot of narration, and it was kind of purposely, you know, put in there to kind of set up something real quick, and then, you know, have characters that are already established in one way or another. So the next issue won't be as wordy. It's going to be more visual, because I can tell the story with just action in most of the issues. So I really can't wait to. I've already finished scripting it. I can't wait to see what Brian does with it, and I can't wait till February, which is Space Coast Comic-Con. I will be set up there, and we'll have sample pages for the issue 2,
Awesome.
preview pages. So I'll have a little, you know, Trickster set up for Space Coast Comic-Con. So that should be
the
fun.
last couple of years, you have been exercising the creative side of your.
Absolutely.
Of
it's
the
been
inner,
in overdrive.
Your inner artist has been in
Overdrive.
overdrive
Yeah.
here.
In between, I'll tell you this, in between our last interview and this one, I did participate in the 40-hour film contest. I wrote the script and starred in it.
Wow.
Stolen Vacation, we were nominated for Best Use of Prop. We didn't win,
Awesome.
but it was still
And
great
your
to be
film?
nominated.
What was the film?
It was called Stolen Vacation
Stolen Vacation.
for the 48-hour film contest. So
awesome.
I worked with.
What was the length?
It was about a 7 minute,
7
I
minute
think.
short?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it had to be between like 7 to 10 minutes, I think.
Okay.
Did it in a weekend. It was crazy. That was a
Wow.
lot of fun.
Wow.
It really had me tap into not only writing a screenplay overnight, but I didn't purposely put myself in it, but I felt like the characters that I wrote, I would be able to play this one more, you know, out of the group that we had. So
Yeah.
I worked with the director, Alicia Bulliard, and she was her first time directing that film, and it turned out really well for somebody first time directing. We got nominated for Best Use of Prop. So,
man.
yeah.
That's really fantastic.
The prop was actually nail clippers. And if you watch the film, we used nail clippers.
Wait for it. YouTube has to explode really quick because they're like, what?
So you had to, in the 40-hour film contest, you
For
have
those of you who
rules.
have ever
Yeah.
gone flying on an airplane will know that apparently there are many uses for nail clippers because they
Yes.
always take them from you just
Absolutely.
in case you use them as a
And
weapon.
I kind of
or
played off
something.
of that because he uses as a weapon, or tries to.
Wow.
And then you know, it was a joke. It had to be. We shot it as a sort of. It had the theme of it either had to be a vacation or an action adventure. So we kind of put both of them together and made a little comedy.
Okay.
And it, you know, some jokes landed, some didn't, but it was a lot of fun, and it just kind of showed like how determined like the local community of filmmakers are when they want to get a project done and
Truly,
get together.
truly.
It's crazy.
Speaking of film projects out this past couple weeks. Is Eric, our good friend Jake Estrada's Bocas.
Can you believe this
on
phenomenon?
Amazon Prime.
Can you believe this? It's a train that's not stopping, and I'm just
really
like, you know
is.
what? I
I'll
might
tell
as
you,
well
guys,
get on for the ride.
Jake and Chuck and David and you know, these are all friends of ours in our immediate community here. It is the by definition, it is the truest indie film you'll ever.
Absolutely.
If you check it out on Amazon, it's the most indie project you'll ever see, really, because it's raw.
It is, yeah.
There's stuff that is awesome, and then there's stuff that's like, did we really do that?
Right,
There's a great mix of this is what indie filmmaking is.
I just think it's
guerrilla filmmaking.
I really, yeah, and I just think Jake has taken this like so far, and I just admire the fact that he has pushed this all around the county, and it's like. It's become a little local phenomenon.
The art house theaters.
I know.
They've sold out the art house theaters.
Good on you, Jake.
That's
Good on
right.
you.
They're on Amazon Prime now. What's that like? I mean, come on.
I have no idea. I'll be honest with you.
Have you seen it at all?
I have seen it. I was at the premiere and I saw it, and that was the first footage that I ever saw that had sound. He did show me some that was, you know, without sound, but I'll tell you, at that time, it was very kind of surreal to watch what I was portraying, because I kind of forgot about, you know, certain aspects of how I did it. And I haven't really looked at it. I've looked at it once or twice before, but it's because I'm kind of very super critical of how I act. Because I'm not an actor. That was my first role, and I loved it. I loved the idea of playing someone who was not close to my personality, but somebody I could tap into. You know? And Robert Hill was kind of this, you know, such a broken person.
It was really interesting to see. We saw it for the first time when it hit Amazon Prime.
Okay.
We had wanted to go to the theater a couple of times, and just our schedule didn't match. So we saw it on Amazon Prime, and it was the first time that I had seen everything together. I'd seen bits and pieces as you guys shot.
Right.
But seeing it all together, and you know. It really, for us, it was an old home day, because it's so many of our creative artist community here that participated.
There's a lot of people involved.
Gave their time, gave their energy and their talent, and it was so amazing to see that come together, and then realize that, you know, I've seen film festival films that are, you know, I mean, just like Sundance films.
Artsy, yeah.
And then you have commercial blockbusters, and that's, you know, the budgets and the effects and everything that's going into it. But if you want to get a feel for what goes into this independent guerrilla filmmaking, when you're just out there in the field, and the great scene in the toward the apocalyptic times in there was they had the big Army Deuce and a Half pull in, and the zombies were chasing it. And I remember looking at that thinking, I remember Jake telling me there was no truck, nothing was scheduled. There's a guy driving through the flats out there, and he was like, would you like to be in a movie? And that's it, they just shot it.
Yeah, and I did forget
cool.
about how guerrilla that was. I mean, and my scenes were very, you know, it didn't take long to film my scenes, and I'm in like the first like 10, 15 minutes, and then I'm done. What was funny about that, though, is that I did not know, we shot the scene where I get the blood from Karen Wood's character, Alduena, and I become a zombie. And I did not know that. That was kind of a alternate ending shot kind of thing. So if we'll use it if we need to, because then I thought, well, I was dead, but then I'm not. So am I contracted to the sequel? And so I told him that, and we filmed that scene, and then I saw it at the premiere, and I'm like, well, I guess my character is sort of to be determined where he's at.
Determined,
so I don't know if Jake, you know, would mind me saying this, but I ran into him after the premiere at a signing that I was doing for Trickster, and he just kind of hinted to me that he has plans for my character, and
they're in full gear to do something else, and they're doing other films.
They are doing other films, and
what are you have Trickster coming in 2020. You have the next.
I'm actually
your film challenge that has been completed now, winning awards.
Yeah.
Bocas is out there. What's next for Josh Whitener,
What's next for me, man? That's crazy. You know, the second issue is obviously on my mind. you know, and between my day job as the mild-mannered reporter and, you know, everything else, you know, I'm going to focus on the second issue, but the acting thing's still there. I'm actually going to be involved in one of Jake's small projects.
Awesome.
I think what he said was he wanted to try to do kind of a grindhouse thing, small shorts put together.
I love that. That's
yeah,
great.
there was one I actually am casted in for. Dead Gardener. So, and you know, he's going to start production on those soon, I think. And
that is
I'm just going
awesome.
to jump on that train. You know what I'm saying?
It is. You know, it's great to see our creators flexing so many different talents at once.
Yeah.
You know, you're able to act and working on your comics and still working, again, still reporting all throughout Brevard County.
Absolutely.
And letting people know what's happening and where. So she does that every time we start having a conversation.
I know.
You see,
We
she's got
chit-chatting
this,
and
she's getting
Sage,
a little.
come on.
She's getting a little annoying with that card. All right, guys, we have to wrap it up. We've been hanging out with comic creator, journalist, actor. We don't know what he's going to do next. We really don't. Neither do you. So you're going to have to come back over and over again to find out when next time Josh is on the show. In the meantime, let's thank our partners and our friends, the folks at Famous Faces and Funnies, Rick Shea and his team over there, Josh Bauer at J. Bauer Art. Look at this phenomenal art for this set.
That is good stuff.
It gets better. It's like being in my own living room.
Yeah.
Except for I'm in the mall, but it's kind of my living room. Thank you, Josh. Anyway, thank you to Space Coast Comics, Jake Estrada, David Grace, Chuck Fresh. Thank you for all the guys over at Indie Originals. Thank you to Hearts Helping Others of Central Florida, B and her crew over there taking care of families throughout Florida. That's awesome. Brevard Film and Talent. Our great new friends at Echo Arts and Gifts for the fantastic
There's an anime fan, yeah.
Anime fan here on the set. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, guys. Thank you for logging on and tuning in. Come back over and over again to see who we're hanging with next. Awesome.
Nice.
Josh, thank you.
Yeah,
man.
thank
That's
you.
awesome.
It was great.